Hello, you're watching World Talks on TVP World. My name is Sasha Farbach. Germany has approved a controversial nuclear fuel project using Russian technology, even as Europe insists it's cutting its dependence on Moscow. Now, the decision comes as EU imports of Russian LNG and enriched uranium have both risen this year, raising fresh questions about whether Europe's energy security strategy matches its political ambitions. And joining us now is Daniel Czyżewski, energy analyst at the Polska's Natury Foundation. Welcome back in the studio.
Hello, hi, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure, as always.
So, on the face of it, on the facts, nuclear fuel rods built with a combination of a French company and a Russian subsidiary of Rosatom in Germany. So that might be a problem for some people. So tell us what kind of challenges present, why this is happening, given so many other sanctions are already placed on Moscow.
Well, this is the hardest part in relations of European Union and generally the West with Russia since 2022. I remember I myself wrote a piece about why nobody is sanctioning Rosatom some 3 years ago, and the answer is it's not that simple. You have to go back a little bit in history. The nuclear industry in Soviet Union was quite strong, even despite the catastrophe in Chernobyl. It remained its assets, resources, and so on after Soviet Union collapsed. But before that, they've built reactors, nuclear power plants, not only in Russia or in Soviet Union then, but also in our part of Europe, in Central Eastern Europe, behind the Iron Curtain, in Czech Republic, in Bulgaria, in Hungary and Slovakia, not in Poland, unfortunately. But it was all based on Russian technology, namely on VVER reactors, water pressurized reactors that are Russian Soviet technology almost exclusively, even until now. After the Chernobyl, of course, Russia was a mess, was in chaos, and so was its nuclear industry. And we have to admit that the one that united all of the entities, resources under the one logo of Rosatom was Vladimir Putin. He decided that he promised that he will do that, he will revive the nuclear industry in Russia, and he did it because now the Rosatom has a 40% capacity of conversion, produces some 30-something percent of enriched uranium, which is a nuclear fuel, and it's the West problem is that after the Chernobyl in the 90s and in the first decade of this century, the Western democracies, following the polls, the moods in society, decided that they won't be funding on a large-scale nuclear energy. So the companies, so the new project haven't started. The existing companies were financed just enough to be still alive, and in that economic surroundings, the Rosatom and Russian industry became one of the leader, if not the leader, of global nuclear industry. And now the West is too much dependent on Russian elements, technology, and enriched uranium to cut it off entirely, and even to cut it in a small proportion.
But you're saying, like, it's not so simple in terms of actually now looking at the nuclear dependency, as you said, and we've heard the same arguments about oil and gas, but that seemed to be possible and large scale, many European countries now weaning off of that. But at the same time, it's an interesting paradox, isn't it? Because, I mean, Germany is producing these fuel rods, not even for their own production. They've phased out nuclear themselves. They don't have any running nuclear power plants. But I just want to share an interesting one, because it just reminds me, there's actually a voice from the CDU, the Christian Democrats, former chief of staff of the German Defense Ministry. Let's just roll that. He had an interesting, Mr. Nicolang had an interesting thing to say about exactly this kind of policy and what we should do about it vis-a-vis Russia. Let's roll that now.
It is right that oil, gas and LNG from Russia are sanctioned. Uranium should have been sanctioned long ago as well. The uranium needed for the project in Lingen can also be purchased in Canada instead of financing Putin's war machine.
All right, so pretty clear statement there. There are other sources where this could come from. So why has Germany and other countries, why have they not pursued more intensely finding alternative sources for Rosatom?
Well, regarding what you said earlier, it's much easier to buy gas from different country, from different direction, or coal for that matter. The nuclear industry is far more complicated, and the processes to invest in facilities of various kind are far more complicated, and it just takes years to establish such an entity. On the West, there's not enough capacity to immediately replace the imports from Russia. The politician that was quoted said it about the uranium itself, but in Lingen they won't be producing uranium, but the fuel rods, as you said, and fuel cassettes and assemblies. Fuel rod, it's a pipe, very narrow, 1 centimeter, that you put together to cassette. A couple of cassettes and hundreds of rods are combined to fuel assembly, and that is being put into reactor, and the nuclear fission reaction is happening inside those rods, hitting the water. Water is turned into steam, and it drives the turbine, makes electricity. So it's not only uranium, because he's right. Probably the French company could buy uranium in from other country, but it's the technology. To establish such a technology, it takes years, 5, 8, sometimes 10 years, and one thing that I have to add, this cooperation between French Framatome and Russian TFEL, the Rosatom subsidiary, it's not the first time. It's not an accident. They are cooperating on the regular basis from years, and Framatome, with that joint venture, will be producing the fuel rods, fuel assemblies for very reactors, Russian technology for the nuclear power plants in our part of Europe. Of course, there is a solution. The Western company could invest, and one is investing actually in producing fuel assemblies to their reactors, and this is Westinghouse. They have a facility in Sweden, but it has much lower capacity than needed for nuclear power plants in our part of Europe.
We're seeing that now on the graphic here, just for our viewers as well, where these nuclear reactors are that you said are built with very much that technology.
Also Ukraine, yes.
Rosatom, yeah. So that's also Finland there. We see the Czech Republic, Slovakia, Hungary, Bulgaria there, and as you just mentioned, Ukraine. But at the same time, I mean, looking at the energy market, and we cover this a lot, I mean, have you seen, since we look at the full-scale invasion of 2022, a lot was done in terms of weaning off Russian supplies of oil, of gas, coal, everything's phased out or stopped to a large extent. Have we seen, in your mind, has there been the same kind of focus on trying to understand, you said it's expensive, you said it's complicated, I understand that as being expensive. Has there been enough of the same efforts to try and find exempt or try to wean off of any kind of Russian dependency when it comes to uranium or nuclear fuels or any kind of cooperation in nuclear technology?
Well, we can observe somewhat, you can call nuclear renaissance, at least in a narrative layer in European Union. I don't think there's been much investments or investment decisions in that matter. Of course, France is interested in that. They have their nuclear industry. Other countries are not so keen. There was the argument in European Union, the pro-nuclear countries against anti-nuclear countries, pro-nuclear countries with France being the leader, and anti-nuclear countries with Germany, which phased out its nuclear industry. I think there hasn't been enough effort, financial and political, to replace Rosatom, to replace those capacities that Rosatom has. It takes time. The politicians rarely like the long-term investments. It's much easier actually to replace Russian gas than to replace Russian nuclear industry. And of course, it's much more delicate matter because enriched uranium, which is used in nuclear reactors, is the same enriched uranium that can be used to produce nuclear bomb. So it's much more complicated. It takes time. It can be done. It's not the brand new technology, rocket science. We know it from many decades. But politicians have to make bold decisions to do that.
Also, at the same time, I know this is sort of going into history, but I think one of the relics of the end of the Cold War was that the United States also didn't really have too much of an enrichment program, and they do, but that's also now slowly coming back, and very much there was a lot of dependency, I think, globally on what Russia could do. I mean, given what's happened the last few years, do you see, you mentioned Westinghouse, are there alternatives in the West, in Europe, in the United States, North America, that could on this scale step in to replace what Rosatom has provided up until now?
Well, for the reason I mentioned, there are basically 5 companies that produce those fuel assemblies, each of them for their own country technology. We have South Koreans, the Chinese companies, CNNC, we have, of course, Framatome, a French company, Westinghouse in United States, and Rosatom in Russia. There are attempts to replace the production from TFEL, this Rosatom subsidiary. Westinghouse is trying to do that, but Westinghouse is a private company. It's a small company. I mean, the Polish Orlen could, with some effort, buy that company and make it its subsidiary. It's not a big company. It's dependent on private funding, and private funding is reluctant to go into nuclear projects. So we have to see the more effort from the countries. This joint venture and Framatome efforts is calculated probably to, in future, create fuel assemblies for their nuclear reactors. I don't know what the deal is exactly between Framatome and TFEL, but Framatome has ambitions to equip the nuclear power plants in Europe, those in Central Eastern Europe, with fuel assemblies for their reactors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so and we can see already how difficult it is. I mean, looking at this case with nuclear energy, or rather nuclear issues still being exempt from EU sanctions, and how it is with LNG and gas. Even if we look at LNG, just the latest figures, right, still importing about into the EU 20% from Russia. A lot of that goes to the Belgians, the French, and the Spanish. So difficult energy topic all around. But look, thanks for coming in. Daniel Czyżewski there from the Polska's Natury Foundation.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for watching World Talks, but do stay right here on TVP World for more. Goodbye.